Warning, extremely nerdy content. This is a passion project. I don't expect most people to watch the whole video, it's just something I really wanted to do. If you do watch the whole thing, feel free to leave comments, I'd love to talk about it. Hello everyone, I'm here to tell you about the new constitution we're writing for the Jade Empire. First of all, the Constitution is being made to protect your rights. It's going to spell out how the government is supposed to work and say just what an emperor can and, more importantly, can't do. And I said an emperor because it's not just about me. This isn't just what I'm promising to do, but when Wu Fangchu returns, I hope to persuade him to permanently ratify this constitution so it will serve as a cornerstone of the Jade Empire for all generations to come, so that the Jade Empire will always be a land where the government exists to serve and protect the people. Now, one more thing before I get started. You all know that I'm an American, but I'm also a lot more. Wu Fangchu chose me to be his successor, and while I don't really know all of his reasons, I ask you all to trust his decision. I know he's coming back, and when he does, I'm going to step down. I'm not going to do anything that goes against his vision for the empire, and he will have the final say about this. I respect your culture. I know what kind of country you were fighting for when you drove out the communists. I'm not going to change that. I'm going to protect it. I don't want to turn the Jade Empire into a clone or puppet of the United States. I'm not going to turn it into a democracy. I just want to make it a strong, stable empire that will be an ally of any nation that values basic human rights. Okay, enough preamble. Let's talk about what the Constitution actually says. The first part of the Constitution says that the Emperor is the supreme commander of the military, chief diplomat, sole lawmaker, and final judge. No local laws may be passed without his approval, and all appeals stop at his throne. However, the power of the Emperor is limited by the Constitution, and his cabinet has the authority to strike down any law he passes if it violates the Constitution. The cabinet has a duty to block any proposed law that would violate basic human rights. These rights include the right to life at every stage of life from conception to natural death, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, the right to work for a living wage, freedom from slavery, the right to a legal defense, the right to move around within the empire and immigrate to or from the empire, the right to free primary education, the right to a home where you can live in peace and safety, the right to basic medical care, the right to financial support for people unable to care for themselves because of age or infirmity, and most importantly, freedom of religion. And all of these rights are to belong to every person regardless of their gender, ethnicity, language, or religion. But listen up, people, your rights and freedom are not absolute. When you abuse your rights by assaulting, deceiving, harassing, endangering, or discriminating against other people, that's a crime. And when you're accused of a crime, it has to be investigated. Investigations might infringe on some rights, and if you're found guilty, you can lose a lot of your rights. That's why you have a right to a legal defense, and that one can't be taken away. In fact, there's a whole section about the rights of prisoners because, well, I'm deeply and personally ashamed of how prisoners are treated in America. Prisoners have the right to be protected from abuse by guards and each other. They have a right to see visitors every day, to clean water, nutritious food, basic health care, and quiet at night so they can sleep. And above all, prisoners cannot be used as slave labor. Using work as a punishment is an offense against the value of labor. It eliminates jobs for free people and puts innocent people in danger. Oh, and while we're talking about prisons, let me say that I'm doing away with some other types of punishments. No fines. Fines give rich people license to commit crimes while making poor people into serious criminals because they can't pay. And I know some countries have tried to scale fines to income, but all that does is give police an incentive to harass the rich and ignore crimes committed by poor people. Mind you, if you commit a moving violation, we might confiscate your car, but you'll get it back in a week or so. Most crimes can be punished with a short jail sentence of no more than a month, or by beating you with a leather strap and letting you go. That will cut down on crowded prisons. Finally, there will be no executions or use of the teaching machine or any other form of mind control on prisoners. When police are investigating a crime, they do have a right to stop you, question you, search you, and to search your car for safety and for evidence. And you have an obligation to cooperate. But they don't have a right to threaten or assault you or to demand a confession. In fact, police are not allowed to seek confessions at all ever. A confession is not even evidence unless you plead guilty in court. Police have a duty and a right to pursue evidence wherever it leads them. They don't need a judge's permission to do their jobs. So, if the cops come to search your house, don't ask for a warrant. There won't be one. They don't need it. But they do have to tell you who they are and why they're there, and they do have to conduct their search in a way that's reasonable and minimally invasive as possible. If they tear up your stuff and don't find anything, they have to pay to fix it. Oh, and if we find out a cop planted evidence, he will go to jail for a long time. If you believe that the police or any public official has abused or overstepped their authority or neglected their responsibilities, or if you have any other complaint or you want to ask the government to take action or stop something, you have a right as a citizen to petition the government in writing. The local administrator staff must read and consider these petitions and forward them to people able to take action. It's probably a good idea to get other people to sign your petition, and it will be taken more seriously if it addresses serious matters, or has a lot of signatures, or has the signatures of respected people with knowledge of the subject. Look, I know there will be a lot of these petitions and most of them will be garbage. That's why the administrators will have a staff to read them. Only the ones that are worth his attention will actually get to him, and a lot will be sent to other people who have the power to act without bothering the administrator. But this is a very important part of the system. Since this isn't a democracy, this is your voice in the system. And I think it can work better than a democracy. You get to say what you want instead of hoping there's a party or candidate who kind of agrees with some of your ideas. And if you think the local officials are corrupt or incompetent and no one will listen, you can petition the next level of government all the way up to the emperor. Just respect the chain of command and start at the bottom, please. This is your input. It's your way to make a difference in society, and it's better than voting or marching or rioting, so please take it seriously. All trials will have 3 judges who will make their ruling together. If one of the judges disagrees with the other 2, he has a right to appeal. If all 3 agree, the ruling is final. We're not going to have a lot of appeals because most punishments will be over too quickly to bother. Long prison terms will only be for the most serious crimes, and there is no death penalty. We want to punish people without ruining their whole lives and forcing them to become career criminals. And your criminal record is going to be sealed. Only the police and courts will have access to it. and no one else, including employers or college admissions, can even ask about it. Oh, and that reminds me, we're gonna legalize weed. I don't like it, but it's less dangerous than alcohol, and we're not gonna ban that, so yeah. But you still can't drive or operate other heavy machinery, and you can't smoke in public places or around children. Plus, you can't take it across the border, just like our rules about tobacco. Oh, and if you've been arrested and you're waiting for a trial, there isn't going to be any bail. If the judge believes you're too dangerous to set free, then there's no amount of money that will make it safe. And if you're not dangerous, then you shouldn't have to pay. The criminal justice system should not be a cash cow for the government. Human rights and public safety are not for sale. There is another right you all have that I want to talk about, the right to non-lethal defense of yourself, your property, and other people. Yes, the Constitution recognizes this along with your other rights, but I want to emphasize it because the Jade Empire has a lot of mutants, magic, technology, and martial arts. People with extraordinary abilities have a moral obligation, and under this Constitution, a legal right to use those abilities to help other people. They can assist the police by patrolling the city, investigating crimes, arresting criminals, controlling crowds, and other police work. Superheroes have a right to keep their names secret and cover their faces, but they are required to cooperate with the police and are forbidden to use lethal force. Government officials must be selected from applicants who have a record of public service and pass a written examination relevant to the position. This applies to everyone holding any authority from imperial cabinet to police officers. To get a record of public service, I recommend joining the Army, becoming a doctor or fireman, a teacher, a trash collector, or doing religious or charity work. Owning a business is not public service, but donations to charity can be considered. Political activism is also not considered public service. Sorry. Some of you might notice that the government structure resembles that of the Tang dynasty, and that's on purpose. After all, the Tang was a good dynasty, and the Jade Empire is committed to Chinese culture. And one thing that the Emperor Chang Sung was known for was land reform, which brings me to the next thing on our agenda, our land reform. From now on, no one can own more than 2 homes. If you own more than 2 homes right now, you have to choose the 2 you want to keep and give the others to the poor. If you are currently renting your only home, it's now yours. You don't owe anything. Also, if you own a business and rent the place of business, whether it's a farm, factory, or store, or whatever, that belongs to you too. Renting real estate is not allowed. If you're a landlord, get a job. Maybe your former tenants will hire you to do maintenance since they don't have to pay rent anymore. You cannot use your only home as collateral for a loan, or take someone's only home from them without giving them another of equal or better quality. We will make an exception for clearly temporary dwellings like dorm rooms, hotels, hospital rooms, barracks, etc. Now, I know some of you have expressed concern over the fact that I don't have a labor representative on my cabinet. But that's only because I already know about some labor reforms I plan to pass. First of all, no overtime for anyone. You work 8 hours a day, 4 days a week, and that's it. If you say to yourself, wait, I don't have enough employees to fill all my shifts, then hire some more people. We're going to try to reach full employment. Next, we're calculating the cost of caring for a family of 4, and that's going to be minimum wage. and minimum wage will be permanently tied to the cost of living. It's our hope that most families will be able to have just one parent work while the other focuses on childcare and housework. And now I hear you asking, won't that lead to a labor shortage? Don't worry, we've got you covered. Not only will we be expecting a lot of immigrants, but there will be a whole bunch of new people hitting the bricks to look for work. If you work for an insurance company, you just lost your job. We're taking it over and closing it down. There won't be any insurance of any kind in the Jade Empire. Heck, if that had been the only thing I changed, I'd almost have made Utopia with that. Okay, let's talk about taxes. We've got to pay for this, and no one likes taxes, but we've got to have them. The Constitution allows a national tax of no more than 20% on all sales and services. So basically every time you get paid for anything. Everyone and everything will be taxed at the same rate. There are no exemptions and no special taxes on specific sales or services. The person receiving money has the responsibility to pay taxes, so you pay taxes on your paycheck, and the store pays taxes on the things you buy. Items that are purchased for resale are not taxed because then they would be taxed several times. So if you own a store, you don't pay taxes on stuff you buy to fill your shelves. But that's the only tax we're going to have. All government services are free, including medical care, fire services, access to public records, licenses and IDs, garbage collection, school, legal defense, etc. And I know I said up to 20%, but I'm hoping we won't have to charge that much. I'm going to start with 15% and see if we have to go up or down from there. The rest of the money to run the government will come from certain goods and services that the government will have the exclusive right to sell, including security guards, bodyguards, weapons and armor, security cameras, electricity, natural gas, water, oil and gas, internet access, telephone services, broadcast rights, and train and plane tickets. Oh, and also gold, jade, and diamonds. If you want, you can think of this as our plan to tax the rich, but really it's about giving us some leverage to fight the human rights abuses that are rampant in the mining industry. And also, well, this is the Jade Empire. If the Queen of England can own all the swans, we can own all the jade. Okay, the last thing I want to say is, well, you know I'm a superhero, and I never really wanted to be an emperor. So I made a change to the rules of succession, so once Wu Fangchu comes back, his adopted daughter Sakura will be the new heir to the throne, and I'm going to go back home. Thank you all, and I hope you have great lives.